What's going on, guys? This is Daniel from We Got Mix podcast. We're back. It's Monday. I'm here with the guys, Rafa and John. Say what's up, guys?
What up? What up?
What's up, everybody?
And I know that you guys had a pretty rough weekend. I don't know if that's what you would call it after the game yesterday, and a lot of things went wrong, and I understand it. But what else happened during the weekend?
You see how he starts it, and then cuando el Cruz Azul anda robando, escondiendo dinero y tirando humo.
Just give it time. I mean, we're barely halfway through the season.
We're not out of the year, so yeah, it was good, man. There's some little upgrades at the house, which is always good. A couple projects. Also, I had special guests come over to the house. It was a good time. It's been a while since I had people over at the house. But
In a pandemic, John, you had people come. No, nah, I'm kidding, man. Nah, we John actually got together with Rafa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. We went over to see the Clasico. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out our way, but it was fun regardless, man. Like John said, at least the fries were good.
Yeah, the fries were good. So, but other than that, man, it was, dropping just content on the pages. It's I'm not gonna lie, it's a little hard with 2 pages on IG, but it's fun, experimenting with different stuff and just dropping the content, man. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
sorry to interrupt. Before we start, I want to shout out Yager Martinez. Today is his birthday. And then when he hears this, tomorrow is going to be the star of the show, Juvy's birthday, the big 29. So, shout out to them too. But Danny, what did you do this weekend?
what did I do? I'm trying to figure. Like usually, I just stay at home, and we're actually planning to go out next weekend. I'm going to. We were supposed to go RVing, but the RV place canceled because something happened to the RV. It broke down or whatever. Luckily, I mean, it didn't break down on the road, so kind of fortunate in that regard. But yeah, now we got to find out what else we're gonna do. We're probably gonna end up renting a cabin and going to the mountains or something, just with family, like my wife and her parents. But yeah,
That's dope. That's dope. But other than that, we're ready if you're ready.
yeah, man. I think we should start off the week. Puebla versus Atlas. Atlas take the 1-0 win. After Aldo Rocha actually scores a goal in the 73rd minute.
Yeah, this is like their fourth game winning streak for Atlas, right? That's including
The draw.
the whining of the player on the bench.
Hey man, it started the engine for them. It's something I know that we've been putting Puebla up there and stating it. I think that this team also had something to do. Like in the beginning, they kind of just scrambled and put a team together, but they figured out a couple pieces and have started to figure out how the team's gonna look. I mean, like I said today on the page, gana Atlas y empieza a llover y no para. So they need, next week again, bro. It's supposed to rain, so we'll see if Atlas continues this winning streak.
Yeah, yeah.
But overall, I mean, still a good game for Puebla. They had opportunities to take the win, but Atlas just unfortunately, man, and these are two teams that are actually placed right next to each other at the moment, 6th and 7th spot. It's crazy to think that Atlas is in 6th place. We didn't expect them to be here, and I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, I feel like we bag on them or used to bag on them a lot for getting no points or 1 point, but I feel like ever since they got the 3 points for free, they've been on a roll. And, they do have good players. It seems like Diego Coca finally got players that he wanted, and it's solid because they're playing the same 11 over and over again.
Yeah, and I mean, we keep seeing the youngster Angel Marquez play, so he's another player to look out for at the moment. I think he's 19, so I don't know if he's on that U20 squad for the Preolímpico. I don't think so,
No,
but
he's
still,
not.
man, Yeah,
Uh,
it's
one player that is though is Jesus Angulo, their left back.
mm,
Or
yeah,
center
man. He
mid, or center back. He can play
Yeah, he
both.
could play both. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, man, it's good for Atlas. I mean, like you said, we didn't expect much out of the season, and it's surprising to see them this far up. But we'll see what happens. There's still a lot more games to be played, but I know for the Atlas fan at my job, he's happy. He doesn't care how they win. But as we move on to the next game, Juarez versus Pumas, the game ends in a 1-1 tie after Juan Dineno was actually able to bring it back in the 55th minute to secure 1 point for the team. It was kind of it's a battle of relegation at this point with the teams being a battle of lower
Bottom of the
table
table.
teams. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's surprising to see Pumas and Leon because they were last year's final, and seeing them down there is just crazy.
Well, it is crazy, man, to see the inconsistencies that are in the league. I think that's what makes it one of the, you know, I think that's what brings attractiveness to the league in general because you never know who's gonna win. Anybody could beat anybody, and like you said, the two finalists are at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
So
it doesn't help that Marco Fabian's out there partying and he has to quarantine now because he broke protocol.
yeah,
Something that's not surprising with that guy.
it's funny. We posted up the meme of that thing right before it happened. So it almost like brought revelation to it or whatever. It's like we guessed it before it happened.
We had inside news apparently.
But I don't. I
Nah,
know. I know. Rafa was like, "Oh, you even tagged them? What a savage!" But in my mind, I'm like, they're players, and at the end of the day, they gotta get called out for the things that they do. And Marco Fabian continues to go out and party. Like you can't be mad at the memes when they happen.
all I was saying was there goes an interview chance that if we ever get the chance to interview him, but
Don't worry
you
about it.
know,
I got the skills.
I think at the end of the day, I mean, we all know that Marco Fabian is a person, and he's a human being, and he's allowed these mistakes. It just sucks that they're put on a highlight reel whenever it happens. Like this was the news for Juarez.
I know,
yeah.
Danny, you put it out there.
Well, well, for sure. I mean, it's something that you don't want to be known for. Obviously, we know he's a good player, but Juarez is gonna need a player like him, and he's instead, breaking protocol, which is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it sucks to see, but I don't know, man. It's to each their own, and he puts himself in that position, so it's you're only asking for it. But
Mm-hmm.
come on the show, man. We'll talk about it. I'm working my magic, John. Uh, but as we move on to the next game, Tigres versus Mazatlan. Able to take the
Mazatlan.
Mazatlan able to take the 2-1 win after Javier Aquino gets a red card. The game's pretty much over after that. Even though Guignac actually had an opportunity to tie the game, but misses a penalty in the 70th minute.
No, not to tie it. He had a chance to bring him back,
Oh
and
yeah,
then they
you're
scored
right.
right after.
Yeah, because Carlos Gonzalez would have been the tying goal, but
Yeah. And
um,
then you hear Tuca after the game calling them out, sort of, and saying how they're a little too individualistic right now and trying to work as a team to get to their objective. But like you said, the red card from Aquino did not help, and yeah, that was a pretty bad tackle right there.
yeah, man, it was unwarranted, and I mean, it deserved the red card. One of the things that I noticed, I mean, was Leos Fernandez's second game playing, and we already started to hear that he might be on the move, whether it be to Uruguay, right?
To Peñarol, yeah.
Peñarol. Other people have placed him in Cruz Azul and in Club America. We'll see what ends up happening, but Ferretti's dying by the system that he created, and at the same time, it's not really working out for him at the moment. We'll see what ends up happening at the end of the season, but at the moment, they're in 12th spot.
Well, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if a team from the MLS comes looking at Leo Fernandez too. You know, we saw what happened with Salarian, and he wasn't playing much, and now he's a star out there. So yeah, he's a quality player. There's been links of him going to America as well.
And I mean, I know that he's already tired of the situation. There's been video footage of him just when Ferretti was taken off the field, he was just dogging him, you know. So it it makes sense for a player that's written off to be that mad. But yeah, man. As we move on to the next game, Cruz Azul versus Monterrey. Game ends in a 1-0 win for Cruz Azul after Roberto Alvarado actually scores a goal in the 42nd minute. I know Rayados had scored a goal, but after VAR review, or I don't even think he went to VAR. I think they allowed the VAR to make the decision, but it was called
Yeah.
offsides and brought back. But yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I saw the replay. It was offside. It looked like he had just his shoulder just ahead of the line, so it was
Mhm.
rightfully taken away.
Yeah, man. What'd you think about the goal? Because I know there was a little bit of polemica, but I saw the replay, and I mean, it didn't look like the ball ever went over the line. But you could say that
Bias.
I'm biased. Yeah.
Oh no, you can't say it. We're saying it. You're biased.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
The
don't
only,
think it went. I don't think it went over the line.
the only
You
thing
know,
I
and
will say is that they didn't have enough camera angles to
yeah,
prove that it went out of bounds.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's opinions, and we could say, oh yeah, it went out of bounds, didn't go out of bounds. But the thing is, like in football, like if you don't have enough evidence that it went over, then you can't really call it. Just go with what you call.
And one of the things that I wanted to shine light on was the fact that Vasco Aguirre, instead of complaining and making this whole spectacle of an interview at the end of the game, he gave respect to Cruz Azul and let it be known, it is what it is. We lost the game to one of the bigger teams in Mexico. Because we've seen
Is
other
that what he said?
teams.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I don't know. He said he gives some respect and that he won't complain. I don't know if he said the biggest teams in Mexico.
No, yeah, he did. I could get the
Yeah,
thing.
please get it.
We got time.
Yeah, we got time. Don't worry.
We got time, bro.
So we're
No,
gonna
but
go.
No, but you're right. I saw a little portion of that, and he said that in all his time as being a player or a coach or whatever, he's seen it all everywhere, all
Mhm.
parts of the world, and he's not gonna start complaining now. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's commendable on his part.
Mhm.
If they didn't call it, what can you do? I mean, we have VAR. That's the next step, and they didn't call it either. So his team didn't score otherwise, and that's how you win or tie games.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it shows the class. It shows the class that he has, coming from some teams that they're in high regards in Europe, where you can't complain. You can't give an excuse on why you lost.
No,
Before they didn't have bar. Before we had bar, what we were going to complain of.
Mm.
Antes no se podían revisar.
Yeah.
So you just
So
let it go.
so what he said was nos enfrentamos a un gran equipo, podemos argumentar mil cosas, pero hay que felicitarlos, llevan una buena racha, están en la buena y están bien. So
Let me translate it. We played a great team.
mhm.
That's what he meant.
And still
no,
one of the
but
biggest teams in
it,
Mexico.
Oh
no,
yeah, I'm not gonna take it
no,
away from them.
no. I
So
agree. I agree with you,
But
Danny. What I'm saying is that that's not what he said.
all right.
you remember how we said we gotta quote the right things.
Yeah. I thought he said great, the one of the
No.
greatest team, but it's fine. What is it called? So here's one of
You
the
see how he
things.
dodged me?
No, I'm agreeing. Like I'm saying,
Moving
like yeah,
on,
you guys were
moving
right.
on.
But what do you guys think? So one of the things that came up on Reddit, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, is the fact that Cruz Azul is having a good season, but obviously Liguilla is Liguilla, and we haven't won anything till we get there. But at the same time, like I'm starting to get tired of the Liguilla talk in the middle of the season when the team's doing so good that we don't even appreciate like all the players that are potentially growing with the league as well as growing for the Mexican selección, Uruguayan selección, Paraguayan selección. So we almost like downplay the fact that this team's doing well because they haven't won anything. You know what I mean? Like Luis Romo is having one of the best seasons of his career so far. I'm hoping he gets better, but we'll see what happens with his career moving forward. Juan Escobar is undeniably one of the best defensive signings in the past 5 years. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
uh Cabecita is one of the best strikers
Lethal.
to play in the Liga MX because before he was at Cruz Azul, he was at Santos. So Roberto Alvarado is starting to pick up form from what we had said in the beginning of the year to now. He scored 3 goals in the past 4 games, something like that. But we
Mm-hmm.
Well,
don't.
I think I think he heard us calling him out.
Yeah, right. But we don't get to enjoy it. Like we almost have to see it. Like, oh no, well they haven't won Liguilla, so we can't say anything. It's like, bro, but the team's doing well. What else do you want?
A
I,
championship.
I'm glad you brought it up though, because unfortunately, like, no matter how good you do in the league, the Liguilla
Hmm.
is what counts.
Yeah,
And they can play well, and then like Leon did that one season, and they started falling apart at the end because they were losing players to injury, and then Macias leaving to the World Cup. It didn't
yeah,
help. So I think that's a problem. That's what we mentioned it in a podcast ago, or
hmm,
a few ago, that the Liguilla, that's what it comes down to. And you can
yeah.
play well and be consistent, but I think they should reward the teams for being the most consistent.
I guess we suffer from it because in a sense we don't get to enjoy the players for who they are, and we're almost critical of what position they're at,
Hmm.
and we don't see like maybe there's a good right back in Juarez or in Pumas right now that we're not paying attention to because they're not in Liguilla. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So we almost don't give importance to these players even though they're doing well.
Yeah,
I
could be.
agree.
Mm.
I think the spotlight is in the wrong place, and that's why I don't like the Liguilla
Yeah.
in the first place.
There's just like so much to it, but I can understand like, oh, okay, Cruz Azul hasn't won, but at the same time, these players haven't been there for 23 years, so we got to see them for the brinks of time lapse that they've been there, and they're doing well. Whether we lost to Pumas or not, the Luis Romo, like I said, is probably one of the best defensive midfielders that we have right now, and
No,
I
the
think he's
best.
well,
The
yeah,
best.
and I think he's better than Edson Alvarez at the moment. I said that in the beginning of the year. It didn't really seem like a lot of people would have agreed, or even
Well,
last year. I think I said it right.
well, even
No.
then, like you
Last year
can't
was
really compare them either,
yeah.
because they're
Mm,
they're they're different kinds of defensive mids. Luis
yeah.
Ramos, you're more box to box, and Edson is that guy ahead of your center backs right there
Mm,
that doesn't move.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I just wanted to talk about because it's almost like, oh, we can't enjoy, like I can't enjoy my team because we haven't won a championship when it shouldn't. Like I get it, but it also shouldn't be like that. But
No,
I,
we don't blame these players. We blame the institution.
yeah, but to a certain extent, like even the fans, like they'll blame the players. You know what I mean? Like when I'm on Reddit, I it's almost toxic to hear about like a team because it's like
Get off Reddit.
yeah, like, and I'm the only one that defends them, and I mean, there's a lot of people that feel the same way, but they might not externalize it, like just talk about it and
But
say it,
but
like
but some of these fans, Danny, have lived the 23 years that of
yeah,
frustration of Can Closer. So I can see it through that aspect too.
mm-hmm,
It sucks, man. It's almost yamerito, and
mm-hmm,
it doesn't. So I get the frustration. Let's see if they can keep up this play.
yeah. We'll
Siboldi
see.
build a great team.
We'll see what happens, and we'll see if Reynoso can pull it off. But as we move on to the next game, Cholos versus Santos Laguna. Santos Laguna able to take the win 1-0 after a goal from Felix Torres in the the 21st minute. Gonzalo Jara, I don't know if you guys saw it in the 93rd minute, actually gets a red card. But yeah.
no, I didn't get to see the red card, but that was a hell of a goal from Felix Torres. He gets up there on the corner kick, and it wasn't a corner kick. It was a play on the side where they crossed it, and he gets up there and scores a golazo.
Mm. Yeah, man. I mean, Santos Laguna is picking up form. I don't know if you guys have heard from Guillermo Almada, but he's actually not re-signing because he's thinking about going back home to Uruguay. So,
Well, he's been
it,
here for a long time. He's been at Santos, through the good and bad, ups and downs. So I think
yeah,
he served his time.
yeah. I mean, overall, Santos continues to play well. This was one of Carlos Acevedo's good games. I know that he's had a couple, but this was a determining factor in the game as he's able to stop a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, man, he's performing well week after week. So it's no surprise.
Yeah. But yeah, man, as we move on to the next game, Toluca versus Pachuca. Toluca on a 2-game winning streak after Luis Chavez and Roberto de la Rosa able to score goals and take the win. But yeah, man, they're picking up a little bit of shape. I know we were criticizing them even like 2-3 weeks ago. So luckily they've started to figure something out. Hopefully they can start a run, but this team definitely deserves a lot more than what they're giving. The coach has started to change his philosophy, and even the starters are starting to be on the bench. Mauro Quiroga is coming off the bench as well as Roberto de la Rosa. He's just changing up things, and trying some new stuff. Felipe Pardo is actually playing, or he's starting. So at least that, because there's some coaches that will continue to do what they were supposed to, but at the same time, I don't think that Pesolano is off the hot seat yet.
Yeah. No, yeah, man. It's a little concerning with Quiroga in the bench. I get it, he's not scoring, but somebody made a bold prediction in the beginning of the season that he was gonna be the goleador. So
Mm.
who would have thought this team was gonna take this turn, have these turn of events and not be a contender when they're usually fighting for something.
Hey man, I thought he was gonna go in there and change the whole dynamics of the team. He's a big dude. He plays body to body, and he's able to find the ball. It's the Pachuca was already made, and this was one of the pieces that you could add or take out. But for the whole team to just all of a sudden forget who they were
Shut
from
down.
last year,
Yeah,
yeah,
they shut down.
yeah, it's not just his fault, but
No, 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 no. But
I just thought he was gonna be added. Like, it's like macaroni and cheese, and you just put some more cheese on it. Like, it only gets better.
Well, let's be frank, man. Like at the beginning of the season, he had opportunities to put away the ball and he just couldn't. He
yeah,
would miss
Yeah,
wide or over the top. So
yeah.
like it's not like he just totally disappeared. It's just they couldn't put him away. And
Well,
then after that, Pachuca started to flounder either way.
not and it doesn't help that Victor Guzman, arguably their best player, is out.
Hmm.
So
mm,
with that, best of luck.
damn, bro, we got through these a couple like really quick.
Well,
I like,
all I'm gonna say though is that it was pretty even. I think Pachuca was a little bit better in this
mhm.
game. It wasn't until Brasheri gets a red card, a double yellow, that the game starts to open up a little bit more, and then that's when Pachuca puts one away, and
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
second one.
yeah, you're right. Um, but
Because
still,
Brasheri, he's like the true one center back on that team, and losing him, you lose all sort of order. They put in Jared Ortega, and
it's not the same.
it's not the same.
and I mean,
It's it's
he didn't have a good game either.
it's like when you lose like Pablo Aguilar, right in the back. It's gonna not gonna be the same. Or Akata, but these guys are leaders of the teams,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
Brasheri is amazing, man. I think that's one of the reasons why Tijuana is still suffering, man. They don't
And,
have
and Toluca, and why they have improved.
yeah.
But I mean, we can talk about them too. And Roberto de la Rosa's goal was pretty nice. Here's a bad touch, goes to Quiroga, I believe, and Quiroga touches it back, and de la Rosa slots it with his left. That was a pretty
Yeah.
nice finish.
Yeah, good job for the young man putting him away, showing Quiroga how to do it.
As we move on to the next game, Querétaro, what was it? Querétaro
San
versus
Luis.
yeah, Atlético de San Luis. Querétaro able to take the 2-1 win. Even though San Luis was trying to make a comeback in the last couple minutes, it didn't end up happening. But yeah, man.
Yeah. Rafa asked me a question during this game because they showed up almost at the end of the second half. Why couldn't Sepulveda do that in Chivas?
No,
Mm.
I knew the reason. I
Yeah.
just wanted you to tell my brothers why. And you
Oh,
could tell the audience now why.
because not anybody can play in Chivas. Si pesa la camisa. So, with that, props to Querétaro. They've been playing good ball, but um, yeah, it's about time that they get back. They were what, on like 2-game losing streak, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong,
Mm. Yeah.
but you know, Querétaro is a team that found an identity early on in the season. So props to them, and props to Ibanez too, man, because Ibanez week in week out, he's a very consistent player for Atlético de San Luis.
Yeah, I think he's on top of the scorer list. He's tied with a couple other players.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he moves on after this season.
Yeah,
Well,
no doubt about it. I mean, the guy scores. He's up there. If he's not on top, he's near the top.
Yeah,
And he scores with a team that has limited possession. He either scores with PKs or headers. Um, hey, man, that's a great achievement. I think
yeah,
he's up to like 7 or 8 goals.
eight. I think it's eight right now.
yeah. So
That would tie him at the top with Canelo.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
props to them.
As we move on to the next game, el Clásico Nacional, el clásico más importante de México, el único que importa, right, John?
I didn't say it. Memo Ochoa said it, so it means something. Aunque te duela, right? I go check out that interview with Liborio Sanchez. He stops Danny mid sentence and tells him, "No, el más grande," because
uh,
Danny likes to downplay el equipo más mexicano, but
no, I
uh,
mean I don't think I downplay them. But Chivas versus Club America, America able to take the 3-0 win after Miguel Ponce basically gets a red card. America is able to score two after that.
yeah.
You
So
know.
you know how we got through the games fast.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your 45-minute show. Dale,
Yeah.
Rafa.
Well, man, you know, it's nice that the fans are back at the stadium finally at the Estadio Akron. After all the safety protocols and all that, what a hell of a game to come back to see the Clásico Nacional, like Liborio said, one of the most important games, if not the most important game of the season. Unfortunately, only one team showed up, and it was America. America showed up and they showed Chivas how to play, honestly. Like, we sat there for 90 minutes waiting for Chivas to respond, and they would not get into the game. And, even with Bucetich's cambios, he did two at the 46, two at the 62, and this team would not figure out how to, basically defend. And we can question the cambios and question the system, but the fact was that at least show some balls, show
Yeah.
that you can play with these dudes, and they're just another 11 on 11, but they couldn't do that. They didn't
The,
show up today or
the
yesterday.
the only one that I think that showed balls was JJ, and all four of us were saying it. Look where JJ's playing at. He's playing as a midfielder, and
Mm-hmm.
and Boyo said that America didn't have an identity. But yesterday we played like we didn't have an identity, and it's frustrating because we paid a lot of money for these players, right? We brought Boyo from Europe. We get JJ back. We bring in Antuna that we paid. I don't know, Danny. You said 12 mil, right? Or they overpaid for him.
It was close. I think it was
Yeah,
like, yeah, it was somewhere
yeah.
up there though.
You bring Angulo and so on and so on and so on, and then you bring in the coach that has the most experience, and then this guy that just comes into the league. Yeah, granted, he comes. His last team was Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world. Yet he shows us how to play. That dude that he brought, Fideo, ¿cómo se llama?
Fidalgo.
Fidalgo. Dude
Mm-hmm.
has skill, man. It didn't
He's
work
good.
out in Spain, and yesterday estaba bailando unos jugadores, and it's frustrating. He's almost walking into the area, and everybody's letting him. Like, you can't give a pass. You pass him softly. Like, it's frustrating. And then Bucetich is making some weird ass calls, because I'm not trying to cuss. Um, you take out
Just let
your
it go.
forward, you take out your forward for a defender, right? And then you see Molina up there. And that guy too. That guy looked lost. That guy couldn't mark. Henry Martin in the area, he couldn't mark him. That's where the first goal. Golazo. It was a golazo. Aunque me duele, you know,
The
but this
dude
guy
got
looks
up
long.
there. He got up there like Ronaldo, you know. He threw his
No,
body at
tampoco,
it, and
tampoco.
no, wait, nah. I'll be honest. Like he got up there. I like Danny called him out a couple of seasons ago that he's a top striker. I agree. Like the dude is, you know, he's strong, he's physical. He's not the most talented, but the dude is a nine. And
Yeah,
if you leave him alone, if Molina doesn't put up or Pollo doesn't put a body on him, the guy's dangerous. And he
yeah,
showed us. He showed us. Like you said, that guy Fidalgo, good player. Cordoba, you know, he's going to the U23. He's on the Selección Mayor for a reason. I
yeah.
think all around solid performance on America's part. They showed up to play, like I said, and it's embarrassing, honestly, on Chivas's part.
It was.
It
It
showed no
was.
heart. Everybody, all the ex players that showed up, you know, Bofo, you know, he talks a lot. He showed his frustration on social media. There's another dude that was on Líderes del Rebaño. That's a old defender, and he's
It's
saying the same
stupid.
thing. There's no heart, and at the very least, show some balls. You know, that go out there and sweat the jersey, but
Yeah.
didn't look like that.
Yeah, but I think to a certain extent there was like no connection. There's no work ethic. Like the guy, that you were talking about. He stated that there's no way to get the ball out of the backfield. They haven't worked on it. Whether the coach Vucetich hasn't worked on it, it shows. Because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, the players, there was a point where I was watching the second half and they were just kicking the ball back and forth. There was nothing where it seemed like, oh, okay, they're working the ball around, coming from Chivas, coming from America. Once the red card happened, where Miguel Ponce gets the red card, undeniable red card, um, that's where America starts picking up a little bit more shape and figures it out. That third goal though was embarrassing, man. I think that to try
Yeah.
to say, try to
Offsides.
say,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it
fucking
was,
pathetic.
yeah. I know John wasn't trying to cuss, but
Yeah, man.
um,
It's like, dude, why are you all standing? I'm surprised that Pollito's standing. Run for him. Get the
yeah,
red card. I don't care. At this point, who cares?
you know,
But
and
nothing.
I yeah.
Uh,
And
And
I caught the
you
replay and I was just like, what happened? Like, why did they all stop? And I was thinking like, oh, it must have been like a foul or something, or it's like definitely offsides. And then when I see the replay, I'm like, oh shit, they really just like stood
stop.
there. Yeah. So
well,
it was
well let's just say, man, like football is football. Goals go in, and sometimes they're not the most beautiful goals. And before you know it, you're down a goal or two. But the thing is, there's a way to lose, and you gotta
Yeah,
go out there and still fight for it. Like
yeah,
unfortunately, Angulo missed one early, and that could have changed the game. But what about the rest of the 90 minutes? They played bad. Like
yeah.
Snoopy said, they couldn't come out and play.
mhm.
And if that's not one of your strengths, like we said, that if they're not very technical from behind, then just find a way to get it up to your forward so you can header it down to somebody else. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, players like that are sitting on the bench like Uribe, who is
Mhm.
very good at back to the goal and just being annoying to the center backs. So questionable cambios, questionable 11, uh, overall bad performance, and where do you go from here?
All right.
That's the issue.
You probably watched the press conference. I didn't even want to watch it. That and I didn't have
Yes,
time, without honesty.
I saw
Um,
it.
without honesty, props to Pelaez because he's giving Vucetich the confidence, but then at the same time, it's frustrating because this guy doesn't show. Yeah, we made it to the Liga last season, but he's not showing us good play. Where he
Mhm.
did show it in Monterrey, right, or in Querétaro, he made those teams work. Querétaro didn't have a the el plantel que tiene ahorita, and that's the frustrating part, man, because Danny said it. These are the best players that you could get, right?
Hmm.
Anybody would want JJ. Anybody would want Antuna and Alexi Vega, and even Canelo now because he's playing well. But if you can't make this work, man, then you're not the right guy for this team. Then we got to
Mhm.
look for somebody else. I asked the question on the Euro nights. It, is it time to make the switch? Go pay the $2 million. They got 60 million from Telemundo. They can pay the 2 million to get Almeida back, right? They got Diego Alonso waiting for a phone call. He's looking for a job, right? Rafa said you got Paco Palencia. And then he threw out another name that I know he was playing. I won't say it because
Rafa
Ooh,
Puente. Rafa Puente Jr.
look, honestly, right now the
El
best coach
Chali.
there's a alternative, and I don't even think that you guys have thought about him. But I mean, there's a better coach out there, and his name is Roberto Siboldi. That's probably the best option. I think with Almeida, he hasn't been in the Mexican League for a while, and who knows? Like he really had to build that team up from the beginning. So,
he built
uh,
it, and that's what he likes. Look what
mhm,
he did with San Jose, and San Jose los puso en the playoffs.
mhm,
So he likes projects. He's the one that brought River back from the dead, from
yeah,
the
Yeah.
bay. So it doesn't matter if he's been out of the league for
mhm,
a year or two, like he's been. If it's a project and it's a team that he loves, then he's gonna make it work. And I know this guy can make it work, right?
yeah,
Well, well, let's say something like, well, I think that the blame isn't fully on Vucetich. I feel like it's 50-50, 50 on him and 50 on the players. Not so much on Pelaez, because Pelaez has brought in great players,
he's done
young
his part.
players. He's
mhm,
done his part. If they don't fit, then that's an issue. Like, I don't know, like if they don't fit like personality wise, that's one thing. But the thing is, these dudes are talented, and we can prove that by them being on the Olympic team.
yeah.
Right.
And the fact that no one's stepping up from their age group and saying, you know what, I'm the leader here, and this is how we're gonna do it, is an issue.
You know
That,
what? I think with that, I think JJ is the leader.
well,
You
I
could
mean,
prove
you
it
could say
with
that. I have a friend that's been saying like, oh, it's the players that are playing bad. Like, oh, look at this player, he shouldn't be there. Like half the team should go, but like, where else are you gonna get players from? Because these are the top of the top. Like, yeah, we can sprinkle a few that are missing, like I don't know, Gallardo or Cordova, but most of them are already here. There's no excuse why this team should play that bad and not show any heart in the most important game of the year.
¿Cuántos son? ¿Seis en el Preolímpico?
The
That left?
Chivas
Yeah.
from the team, yeah, because then you can count Cervantes too, that just belongs to them. Beltran that is on the bubble. There's several
Mhm.
players, more than
What,
enough.
Rafa, you think with Beltran it's a confidence level that the other
Of
coaches
course,
give him the
because
confidence?
I think if you see the game, he's a little more. He participates a little bit more than Molina. Molina's there for a few things, for being a man, like he's a captain for sure, and that he's very good in the air. But as far as like distributing game and getting into specific areas where a defensive midfielder needs to be, he can't do that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's why I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
asking for him to be a center back for a long time. But Bucetich doesn't see it that way. He'd rather move Calderon all over the pitch, put him at center mid, put him at left mid, put him at striker, when his best position, even before Chivas, was left back.
Yep.
That's the position that got him to the national team, and he
Yep.
won't put him there.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. You hit it on the nose right there. There was changes. We were talking during the game, and I'm like, hey, you move Alexis to the right, you bring Antuna to the left. Or no, vice versa. You move Canelo back to the mid, and then you bring in Calderon. And at the end of the day, I'm just a fan, and I'm just airing out my frustrations. But
Yeah.
to lose to your biggest rival like that, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, like you
It's
Yeah.
said,
embarrassing.
we can call out players for their individual, bad performances, but that's not the point. Like the whole team didn't show up, and
Yeah.
that's even worse. But at the end, props to Solari, props to America. They're doing well, second place. Hopefully they can keep improving. I like the Mexican players that are on their team, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did,
Props to Salati, man, because I'm sorry, Danny. Uh, on social media, on Instagram, I saw a post that he waited for all the Chivas players to come out, and
and
he was
shake their
shaking
hand?
them and shook their hand, man. Like that shows you class. That shows you when you come from the biggest team,
Mhm.
the class. And unfortunately, man, he's on the other side, man. This is some of the coaches that I know I wouldn't want because I'm not a Solari fan, but props to him. He came into a team a week before it started, right? Or 2 weeks before because of a work permit. And just like Reynoso, they have these teams on the top.
Yeah.
And class is class, man. He did well. That's something I didn't know of, but that the fact that he did that, gives me more respect on his part. But yeah, Chivas is pretty bad right now.
How
Yeah.
did, how
How
did
do
you
you see it, Danny, from the outside?
like the Chivas situation?
Yeah.
Oh,
No bias, no bias, and I won't get
no,
mad.
just
Yeah,
the
honest
game in
opinion.
general.
You don't want my honest opinion.
Dale.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean it's tough to see. I mean, this is supposed to be the dynamics of what is it called? Like the Mexican selección, you're the core or whatever, and to see it like this, it's like I don't think you guys can call yourself the core anymore if this is the situation. There's so many players on other teams that are doing a lot better, and I do think that you guys like I'm not one of the people that said that you guys have the best Mexican players from the league because you guys don't. If that was the case, you'd have Henry Martin, how I've been asking, Chivas to buy him in the past like 2 years,
Yep. I
or
think the thing is about him though is that he never wanted to come.
no,
Like,
yeah, I agree,
yeah,
but I mean, you'd have Chicharito if that was the case because there was an opportunity to go and get him. You'd have players, and this is kind
No,
of where
but
I'm at.
what the Chicharito thing also state that Chicharito chased the money. He's the highest
No,
paid
yeah, I
player in the
agree,
MLS. We're not gonna
but
pay him the 7.5 that he's making through it
but Chich-
through the MLS, and then what he's making with Adidas because Adidas was also part of that deal. They
yeah,
also
but
negotiated.
But I mean, to not even give them a call or not even like attempt to, like, hey, maybe you want to take 5 million over here. We paid Oribe Peralta 5 million. We can pay you 5 million. It's that. It's the fact that they didn't even try to
Pero
attempt.
sí le llamaron.
Yeah, and
Sí le
then
llamaron. So
and I've been saying it for a couple seasons, like the fact that you guys don't have alternatives to the players. Like I asked for Santiago Ormeño, where I understand that he tried out, but you got to start looking for the youngsters that are on other teams that can potentially be 2-3 million. You
but
you
Santiago
spend.
Ormeño just had this season.
Mm,
This is what's Santiago Ormeño the last season or the season before.
well, last season he I think he was on top of the scorers list for Mexican players. I think he was actually number one. I'm not 100% sure. You don't quote me on it, but I'm saying like in the center back position, going after Johan Vasquez before he was a brand name at Pumas, because obviously they even loaned him out and they put him out there. I'm
mhm.
saying like going after a Luis Romo that a lot of people just didn't know about before going to Cruz Azul. These are all players that you're letting slip by, and they're not that expensive when you really put it into context. Like Luis Romo costs 4 or 5 million at most, and you went after a player like Uriel Antuna for 12, or Jesus Angulo and Calderon for I think it was like 18 million, right? If I'm not wrong, for all
What
three players.
it was like
Yeah, it was about
20
18.
or three.
And
But what I will say though is that they have brought in these young players.
but
I think when they bought Mier, they had the option between buying Mier or Romo, but Romo was
mm,
just a little bit more expensive, so that's why they chose the cheaper option and
yeah,
the more proven option at that point. But I think the thing is too, like the coach can't get them to play together, and like Snoopy said, if they can't come out playing from the back, then they don't have an identity.
yeah. I
And
I agree. I
because
agreed
the
with
young
what he
players are
said.
there, man.
Yeah.
They're
But the thing is, not only getting young players, it's getting the right young players and getting so like almost having so many that hey, like you guys did with Calderon last year. All right, you're not gonna play well. We'll send you to Tapatio. It is what it is. Like you're not a star here, and I think
Mhm.
that's what Chivas has done. These players are 6 million, 7 million, 10 million, whatever, and then all of a sudden they're stars or whatever. Like and it's like nah, you came here to fight it out with our youngsters. If you
Mhm.
can't fight it out with them, you guys shouldn't be playing. So you almost
Good point.
elevate them and they're already starters. It's like, bro, who did they fight it with? Like nobody's like they're just given the position. What do they have to lose? Nothing. So that's my dilemma with it. It's like you have to have so many players in there just fighting against each other that the best one will always play.
it's like you said, steel sharpens steel, and a lot of these young players have been brought in, either bought or brought back from loan, like
Mm-hmm.
Mayorga and este, what's the other dude's name, El Chino.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Huerta.
there's been questionable decisions made over the last couple of years, more than a couple of years, like giving Molina the captaincy band over he had just been there maybe half a season or a year and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
or less. Don't get me wrong, he's probably a great guy, but there's other guys that probably deserved it ahead of him.
It's a
Questionable center backs leaving like Alanis, which is a guy that can play from the back, that is proven, that could even play left back at the national team level.
mm-hmm.
The dude can play and let him go for nothing.
He's
Van
alone,
Rankin too.
but at the same time, I said that before, and everybody goes, "No, come on, man, it's Alanis." Yeah, Alanis has experience. This guy feels the shirt. You're right. We let him go again this season, and we
Mm-hmm.
kept three center backs. At this
Yeah.
point, that's what we're hurting in the center back position. Boyle does great. He plays with heart, but sometimes it was a bonehead yellow in my eyes. He was going again too
Mm-hmm.
fast and coming in too strong, and he gets Henry Martin. Y luego the one where he's over there pushing was it Cordoba?
Cordoba.
Donde
Mm-hmm.
se salvó de una roja, man. I get it. It's the frustration, and each and one of them have to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing wrong here? Because,
Hmm.
you take out JJ Macias and then you leave Saldivar. Come on, dude. Like, Saldivar hasn't even touched the field in Monterrey, Puebla, and Chivas in like 30 years. This kid fucking can't score.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you
And
take out the guy that has 6 goals and the one that's dropping all the way to the middle, and you can see the frustration when he's walking out.
Yeah.
oh, you can see the picture that I sent you guys where he's on a chair just by himself with his hair all strangled out because he can't understand why they took him out in the first place.
For a defender,
Yeah. And I don't know. Like you said, the dude is coming back and trying to create play from the midfield, and it's all bad. But I think this team in general is just not playing well, and it starts from the top. So somebody,
Yeah.
I think heads are gonna roll sooner than later. I think
yeah.
Amaudi's not gonna like this embarrassing side because everyone's talking about it. Like the bullying
Mm-hmm.
won't stop. So somebody's gonna pay for this,
You know what's the
bad
worst
as it
bullying?
sounds.
You know what's the worst bullying? When you go to work y ni te hablan del juego, güey. You're like you're walking in and you're expecting this shit, and even Julie goes, como que andan muy calladitos ahora, ¿no? Let's keep it that way because you don't know where it's gonna come from, but you know,
Yeah.
Hey
I
man, you
I
got to be
I
proud when you win and proud when you lose. You know.
um no, and you know what? I understand, man. We didn't show up. We stayed in the bus or in the
Mm.
hotel de concentración. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I aired it out.
Look, if it was my team, I mean, if I'm the owner or whatever, the next game it's all suplentes. And you got to earn your spot at this point because it doesn't make sense, to even pay these guys what they're worth. I'd start selling everybody that doesn't want to practice or like try hard to get their spot back. In my eyes, you got to give it to the youngsters now. Like this is a season. That's just me. It's very
Well,
unrational
you
thinking.
you you you
No,
went you went through this a couple seasons ago,
Hmm.
so you know the feeling.
Yeah.
no, I like the idea. Give a chance to players that haven't played or players that have proven that they've done made a difference, like Oribe.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know if they will do it. That's the problem. Like we shouldn't throw away games like that, but there definitely needs to be a change. And like
Yeah.
Pelé said, I don't know if he caught the post or the little interview he had a couple or what was it, John? A couple hours ago, where he said that
The press conference.
el que no se parta la madre out there is not gonna be a Chivas player going out,
No,
ahead of time.
He could say that, but they still get paid their salary. It's whatever. That's what I'm saying. Like you guys hyped them up to be stars. You paid them so much money, and now that they're not playing, it's like, oh,
no,
okay,
no,
we're
no,
just
no, no, no. Let's get this straight. You
mhm.
keep throwing you guys. The fucking
Well, the
media
team.
hyped them up. No, the fucking media hyped them up. We
Mhm.
didn't hype them up. Me and Rafa were against that ¿Cómo eran las Chivas Galácticas?
Chivalacticas.
Yeah. None of that shit came from our mouth. The media hyped it up. Let's get that straight. Are they the best players? Yeah. Are they core players? Look at the under 23. No other team sent the players that we sent. We sent 6 and 7 because the other motherfucker didn't play well either. So we are the core. We are the biggest team in the world. We shouldn't be fucking playing like this, right? If this shit happens in Madrid, Barcelona, guess what? All these fucking players are gonna get sold instantly. Vucetich wouldn't survive in a Barcelona. So right, they fire coaches for being in second place, 3 points out. So,
but I think the thing is we've gone through a lot of coaches, and it's another point that my friend brought up. Like how many coaches are we gonna go through? Like we can say, oh yeah, like I want Almeida, but is he realistically coming back? I don't think so. Is like Danny said, Siboldi would be a great option, but how many chances are we gonna give to these players that are not proving it, that not going out there and sweating the t-shirt, trying to, I don't know how to say it, but like kill themselves out there on the field. That's the first thing that you should ask for, and that's not what they're giving us.
No, but my frustration now is with Vucetich and needs to get his shit straight before we go out to the Clasico Tapatío. Plain and simple. We can't lose that game. We can't lose 2 Clásicos in one season.
It seems like the dude doesn't like, like a lot of coaches, I like that they come out there and say, you know what, it's on me. Like it was a bad game plan. Blame me first. I don't feel like he's doing that. I feel yeah, Pelaez said that it's his mistake and that he's not going to quit. Like it's too early, but someone's got to come out here and try to take the blame for it. And I don't feel like he's connecting with the players so well.
No, it's not even the blame. It's being accountable for the taking out some of these players that were playing okay and putting in defenders.
Yeah,
you made Chapito and Ponce. Like, what do you? Yeah, sorry for all.
Like, are you trying to win the game, or are you trying to? I don't know. That's
sorry,
what I'm saying. It's questionable.
Sorry for all the cussing, man. It's just frustrating.
It just goes to show like how many players are actually behind Vucetich, and it doesn't seem like very much are.
They're not. ¿Quién salió a dar la cara?
Nah, Pelaez a day later.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you guys got to make a video.
Probably get to it.
Cruz Azul made a video, bro. You don't remember that?
Kata came out and faced the fans.
Yeah, that he did that too. Oh man, but I guess there's just a lot of problems. It's not just like one singular thing, like you guys stated. So it's
sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to take it out on you, man. I didn't take it. It's just. I feel it just builds up, man. Like. Anyways, let's talk about another fucking guy that's not playing. Efrain Alvarez.
I like to talk to HR from the PTC Podcast Network. Who's that?
Judy.
Ese güey no me ayuda. Mejor no le hablo. No, yeah, man. So Efrain Alvarez is apparently right because, is it for sure?
The list will come out either tomorrow or Wednesday.
I hate it already. But it's a rumor that Efrain Alvarez will be on that list, and he is obviously being called up so he can, stick with Mexico and not be able to go to the USA selección or whatever, U.S. men's national team. I thought they changed that though. I thought they changed that. Like you can still transfer over or whatever. Like even if you've played 1 game or 2 games or something, as long as it's not.
As long as it's not an official FIFA match, you can switch. This is not an official FIFA tournament.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, like, why would they still do this?
What do you mean?
I think they're just doing it to show him that he is important.
Yeah,
but that they do care about him in the long run, and they want him to stick around, because that's what the U.S. national team did with a lot of their youngsters from Europe, and they got a camp together. And a lot of those dudes haven't played a single match either, but there's a lot of young dudes that have shown that they want to be committed to it.
And just to explain it to John, because they did this to Jonathan Gonzalez, where he like played supposedly for 1 game, and then
explain what?
What do you mean that the Mexican selección is trying to make sure that Efrain Alvarez can't switch over to the U.S. men's national team, even though he can?
I get it. I don't like
Yeah,
it. The guy's
yeah.
not
So
playing. Why burn a spot on somebody
yeah,
that's not playing, right? There's going to be a lot of questions asked if you don't call some of these a mid if he's not playing. Is this guy going? What's his name? Marcel Ruiz. Is he going to the Pre-Olympico? Is he part of the list?
I don't think so.
No, no.
Then take him. He's not
Yeah,
playing.
yeah. It
You,
just doesn't make sense. It's not something that we wanted, and I mean, like we said before, I don't even think he's that important of a player that we need him right now, and he's not even on the Pre-Olympico for a reason. There's better players out there than him, even at his age bracket.
Which starts the Preolímpico starts this week, I think. But you're right. I mean,
Thursday.
this kid hasn't shown. Yeah, Thursday, Mexico against Dominican Republic, March
Oof.
18th at 5 p.m. So if anyone wants to get into it already, and they're playing the U.S. apparently in the final round.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, on next Wednesday. But you're right, dude. This guy Edson Alvarez, I mean Edson Alvarez, Efrain
Efrain.
Efrain.
hasn't played in the Galaxy, and the Galaxy hasn't
Consistently.
played either. But yeah, yeah, I think it's more of a like a chess move. It's just it's strategic. They're trying to lock him down so the US doesn't take him away from them. Because the potential he has, we talked about it already. He has a nice left foot. The thing is with him is it's always been the physical side of him, the stamina to get on the field. And if he gets there, he can be a great player. But it is weird to see him go up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just it's not a player that I'm paying attention to at the moment. He could potentially break out but like you said, he's not even playing at Galaxy. What's the point of doing this? There's no reason to if you want to burn a spot or even try to just because this is what's gonna happen. He'll come in the 92nd minute and that'll be it.
Call it a day.
Yeah, it's the dumbest move I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, but what do
But
you guys think of the Pre-Olympico squad now that we're talking about that?
I mean, let
It's
me let me
solid,
pull it up right now. But yeah, I mean, for
You
the
know,
most part, I think I missed out on Misael, man. But I don't know.
man.
You don't think?
I
um,
I agree that he's talented, man, but the dude hasn't played either.
so let me go
Yeah, I
over the
mean that.
porteros. Malagón, Jurado, and Carlos Moreno from Pachuca.
Mm,
Yeah, I
Only
think
Malagon gets the nod for me.
yeah, I'd go with Malagon. That's just me.
defensas, Sepúlveda, Alejandro Mayorga, Vázquez, Mozo, Loroña, y Jesús
Mm.
Angulo.
Yeah, I mean overall good defense. Honestly, I think that we're built in that, and we're actually pretty good, in that in those spots. I mean the center back is the only one that I don't really know who would be starting. I don't know if you guys would.
Oh, it's gonna be Sepúlveda and Vázquez.
Mm.
Most likely. Doesn't uh Montes fit in this category?
Maybe because I think he's 22. Unless Monterrey didn't want to let him go for this
Mm-hmm.
Olímpico.
Which or he's hurt or something because it doesn't make sense. I mean, the game's suspended either way against Chivas. They weren't gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think those two guys are the top center backs, like you said, besides Montes. I think it's a good pick overall.
And then your mids are Charlie, Cervantes, Piojo Alvarado, Cordova, Angulo, Antuna, Esquivel, and Eric Aguirre. Talent right there. Nowhere
Yeah.
in there, nowhere in that spot. And falta Marcel Ruiz que no está jugando.
Mm-hmm.
But nowhere in those mids, Efrain Alvarez. plays a role. He doesn't take a spot from any of those.
No, because then you could take a player like Beltran ahead of him too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a lot of these players can play different positions. Like Aguirre could play left back
And
or
I
right
and I
back.
and Aguirre's been with the, he's been
A focal point.
a youngster for a while now. Like I think that we all think that he's on the older side, like 28 or something, but he's been on in the spotlight for a while.
And he's been on the Selección Mayor's level he's gone up for a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so has Roberto Alvarado, as well as
Charlie.
Sepúlveda. Oh yeah, Charlie too.
Charlie, Antuna,
Mhm.
Córdoba.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Either delanteros. No, whoever thinks Eric Aguirre is 28, they're nuts. He started off young with Monarcas.
No, what he's saying is like it seems like he's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a very good, talented young man. Uh, JJ, Macias, Alexi Vega, and Santiago Munoz. What do you guys think of the forwards?
I like
Who's
it because they can play different spots. Like JJ's a 9, solid, right? And he's talented. He could play in a lot of different spots. But Vega could play out wide. He can play behind the 9. Munoz, he plays behind the 9, and he can play the 9 at Santos.
Mhm.
The one that John did bring up was Santi Jimenez for not being here. I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel about that, Danny.
I mean, I think he's done more than Santiago Munoz. I know this is his first year, like really playing and going out and scoring goals. I can understand, and who knows, man? Maybe he'll be called for the friendlies as well, because we got to remember that he's Argentinian too. So they're trying to do the same thing with Efrain Alvarez, So we'll see what happens. I know that European players aren't coming over, so.
Yeah, because players that would fit here would be Lainez and Edson Alvarez.
and that's all
Yeah, as
Alvarez.
well. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that for some reason they're doing that, but I mean, it isn't necessary. At the end of the day, you can do that all you want, and then Jonathan Gonzalez has seen how many Mexico games since that happened.
All of them.
I think
Yeah.
that I think the thing is that it makes it harder in the future to be able to switch over. Like it won't be as easy as a process as it has been in the past. I know that FIFA has tried to do something like that, so players won't hop here and there wherever they please. Like
Yeah,
I
I
know
agree.
you're saying that there's a FIFA match and then there's a regular match, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Mhm.
even the regular match ties you into it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think this is a pretty good squad, if I haven't seen a better one. But yeah.
Y hacen falta jugadores, man. So that tells you the talent pool that we have, that menosprecian the youngsters that they make. And not saying like Liga MX, talking about like other podcasts and other US
Yeah, I get
pages.
you. Yeah, I
What
don't.
I didn't like was the sub-23 of the CONCACAF, where they put a lot of the US players uh,
Mm,
that hadn't really played. Like
Oh, that
I
was
know there
Telemundo.
was it Telemundo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
what?
like that.
Well, I thought it was like the IFFHS again or whatever. Was Telemundo?
Yeah, it was Telemundo. It was Telemundo's page where I found. Well, I saw it in. I'm not gonna give them any promotion, but a
Yeah.
page, and yeah, I saw it in Telemundo too, and I was like, oh, what the?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But then
and
again,
don't get me
Telemundo's
wrong, those US players are talented, but a lot of them haven't played either. So you can't really rank them if you don't have any evidence as to how good they are.
correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think with that being said, that'll be it for tonight, guys. First of all, go ahead and go follow us at Instagram at Liga Mex Podcast. You can listen to us on any platform: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio. So we're also on YouTube, so go follow our YouTube. John, which one is that one? Is it
PDC podcast still. I haven't switched it to network yet.
yeah, PDC podcast. So you can go find all the interviews that we've done in the past as well as in the future. on there. Subscribe, like, share, and always, man, thank you guys for listening.
Oh, and catch us on PDC Euro Nights
Oh,
on
PDC
Thursdays.
Euro Nights on Thursday. It'll be uploaded on here. But yeah, man, follow that page too. PDC underscore
Euro.
Euro underscore Nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can follow, you can find them on the page too. So either or, you can find us both. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for paying attention, and peace.
Later.
Sorry for the cussing.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least the fries are good.